are we gonna have the overlay on the camera today?
I tried to do it, but I'm
Just let me know. Just give me a thumbs up if yes, or a thumbs down if no, and I can just mention the score then if you guys don't have it. It's not a big deal. I don't care. I'm just curious. So if they don't have it from the audience, then I can just keep mentioning the score. You know? No, I just texted Sean to see if he had any personnel updates and he hasn't sent anything back. So I was gonna check with the break for the men's game to push it hard. I asked if the women, but he hasn't sent anything back yet. So. The women's VIU. Langara second on 9 points. Douglas has 3 points. So Langara needs at least a draw here to keep some distance between them and Douglas, I think. A draw would be okay. Langara on 9 points, Capilano on 7, Douglas 6, VIU 4. Yeah. No, VIU hasn't won. Sorry, I beg your pardon. VIU has won. I beg your pardon. VIU has 1 point. They've lost 3 times and they've drawn. It's a fun one. This is the keeper who always comes off her line for everything. Remember her? Yeah. Comes off her line for everything. No matter what. Even if it's not close, she comes off her line.
Match day 5, another PACWEST header out in lovely Langley, British Columbia, Canada, at the Langley Event Center as the Langara Falcons get set to play host to the Douglas College Royals. As mentioned, another PACWEST doubleheader. First up is the ladies here, kicking off at noon. The men get going at 2:30. All focus, though, on the women's encounter here as number 2 placed Langara on 9 points. Welcome number 3 placed Douglas on 3 points. Last time these two squads met, Langara squeezing out a 1-0 narrow victory, though they did go down to 10 women at the very end of the contest, but did hold on for that massive 3 points, and this would be a big 3 points or even a draw for the Langara Falcons if they could manage it against Douglas, who started slow, but after a massive 6-0 thumping of Capilano, they have their tails up and they are ready to go. Let's get you the starting 11s for both squads. First for the visiting Douglas College in net, number 1, Estelle Gonzalez. The outfield for the Royals, number 2, Talia Trasolini. Number 5, the speed demon, Anna Claver-Valdez. Number 8, Kaylin Chong. Number 10, boasting Athlete of the Week honors following that 6-0 drubbing of Capilano. Their talismanic striker, number 10, Isabel Dobbin. Number 12, Haley Rogers. Number 15, Chiara Lucarelli. Number 16, Kaya Narcis. Number 21, Lucy Baker. Number 23, Hannah Scott. And number 25, Ashlyn Grimm. The Douglas College Royals are led by head coach Dalibor Plavsic. Meanwhile, Langara, coming off their first loss of the season last week to the table-leading VIU Mariners, who will be definitely hard to catch. Bonazoo in net, the number 1, Kate Bonazoo. Rita Sears, number 3. Number 5, Madison Hung, who scored in the earlier match against Douglas's campaign. Number 8, Manat Dillon. Number 10, Abigail Gade. Number 14, number 11, Amber Wells. Number 13, Cassidy Kwan. Number 15, Tess Van de Vecht. Early foray forward here for the Falcons. Number 17, Alexa Di Ruggiero. Number 21, Ava Giovinazzo. Number 25, Annette Hernandez. The head coach for the Falcons is Alvin Prasad. Early corner here. Madison Hunt's going to take it for a bit of a dribble. Can she get in some service? She does. It's a good right-footed ball, and Manat Dillon was there. Just a touch offside, though. Or was it a foul that they've brought back? Yes, it actually was a foul, as Madison Hung did ever so well to kind of cut inside and then clip in that ball. It didn't meet the head of Manat Dillon. The Langara Falcons are wearing their white strips today with orange and black piping, trim, and lettering. Orange socks. They're playing from right to left in this first half on your video stream. Kate Bonazoo in net for the Falcons, wearing head-to-toe teal with the pink headband. Meanwhile, the Douglas College Royals in their familiar royal green strip with white and silver piping and trim, and dare I say even a little bit of light forest green in there in the mix as well. Their keeper, Estelle Gonzalez, is wearing head-to-toe taxi cab yellow. Van de Vecht and Cassidy Kwan standing over this one. Of course, Tess Van de Vecht missed that matchup last week against VIU, and they certainly could have used her services. They fell 3-0 did the Falcons, their first blemish on the campaign, and of course Van de Vecht sent off earlier in the campaign against Douglas. So she'll be happy to get in the mix here. Of course, they are missing Madison Pinch here today, are the Falcons, and Pinch and Van de Vecht have been very good for them in the center defense. Here comes Van de Vecht on the free kick, and what a hit into the top of the net! 2 minutes in, and what a way to make your return for Tess Van de Vecht from the suspension bench into the marquee and the stars. What a hit there from the number 16, and the Falcons pick up where they left off against Douglas. It's 1-0. Early bells here at the LEC. What a start. And it was Douglas College who came into this one with serious firepower backing them. As mentioned, a 6-0 thumping of Capilano the week before, but it's the Langara Falcons who start the brightest. That early corner kick and just that early pressure, that early high press that we didn't see a ton of against VIU. Alvin Prasad's squad getting back to what kind of brought them to the dance there. Good play by the Falcons. And of course, VIU, they are in action today, top of the table on 12 points and a ton of goal difference. I want to say they have a plus 11 goal difference. They're scoring goals for fun now, the reigning champion Mariners. They're taking on bottom of the table Capilano. That kicks off in just under a half hour's time, and we'll keep you updated on that one. Risky pass across the seam there for Rita Sears, but she does ever so well to control it and play it back into the waiting feet of Bonazoo. Heavy touch there from the number 2, Trasolini, the Coquitlam native. And it'll be a throw the way of the Falcons. If you're just joining us, The score already 1-0 Langara off a pinpoint top bins free kick from the returning central defender, Tess Vandevect. Ball cut inside there by Douglas. That's dealt with by Annette Hernandez, who was absent last week against VIU. Once again, they could have definitely used her services. I think Madison Hung is on side here if she can get to the end of it. Estelle Gonzalez is going to come and thump it out into touch. That actually almost reached our broadcast location here. Cameraman Rodrigo might have to pull a little double duty as a ball boy here. That was only a couple rows away from us. And if you did tune into the last time these two sets of teams met, keeper for Douglas, Estelle Gonzalez, not afraid to come off her line, and that was definitely an early sign of things to come here for the keeper in yellow for Douglas. She is very lively off her line there. The ball over the head of Madison Hung. I think she was offside anyways. Abigail Gade was kind of lurking around the penalty box to try and narrow down the angle, but it's an easy clutch and claim for Gonzalez. 1-0 Langara, if you're just joining us. Good dispossession there by Annette Hernandez. I beg your pardon, it was Annette Hernandez. I was trying to get to the next player who was teeing up for a shot, who was Cassidy Kwan. She just couldn't get the ball out of her feet. It was actually really good defending there. I believe it was Ashlyn Grimm, who last time these two clubs met was the busiest and the probably most prominent of the defenders for the ladies in green, so the number 25 Grimm will definitely be one to watch. It's a sunny day out here in the township of Langley here at the Langley Event Center, home of the Vancouver Giants of the WHL, the junior hockey club. The Vancouver Bandits, the CEBL basketball team. Crossing the area by Madison Hung. That one dealt with by Grimm. I beg your pardon. That was actually the number 21, Lucy Baker. Similar hairstyle, similar height, and similar boots to Ashlyn Grimm, so that's going to be a real fun time deciphering between those two for the broadcaster here. Back to what I was saying though, Vancouver FC from the CPL also playing on this field here, the Willoughby Field at the Langley Event Center. It's a really sunny day, but just a gentle late summer's breeze kissing the air at the moment. Expecting a high of 22. They are calling for rain, but that's later in the day around 7 p.m. But at the moment, it's an absolutely stellar afternoon for some soccer of any level. This field here at the Langley Event Center, it's not just a field, I call it a hub of sport in the Fraser Valley. They've got beach volleyball courts, field hockey courts, soccer and football courts as far as the eye can see. I think they have a skate park and a water park and plenty of picnic tables and areas just to chill out. So if you're in this neck of the woods and just going for a breeze, bring down your coffee and your morning sausage roll and come down and check out what they got to offer out here. It's a buzzing little neck of the woods in 200th and I believe 80th Avenue. Right here in Langley. Cassidy Kwan trying a through ball for Abigail Gate. She keeps herself onside, but can she keep it in? She does. She's going to go for a dribble she tried to get inside on. I think it was Baker again. Comes off the shins of the green-clad player, and we'll have a corner kick from the far right-hand side. We're in the 7th minute now if you're just joining us. Langara Falcons already up to a 1-0 lead. Tess Vandevect with a second-minute free kick. And what a free kick. Opened up the body, instep, tucked it in top ins. I believe it's Madison Hung here on the corner. It'll be a right-footed outswinger. It's got some hang on it too to the top of the box. Giovinazzo put the head to it. Manat Dillon's in that neck of the woods as well. It's Amber Wells who ends up getting a free hit at it. Probably could have had a touch as well, but she hits it first time and just loops it over the net. 8 minutes in, 1-0 Langara. I think we'll probably have some CPL action here today. I'd have to check my schedule, but some of the crew at the Langley Event Center here just setting up some tents in the supporter section. Of course, they have all their advertisement boards. Usually it's just the usual black cage around the outside of the park here at the Langley Event Center, but they've set up some of the boards here, so something tells me we have some CPL action imminent for the home club, the Vancouver FC. The Eagles, as they call themselves. Drop kick out by Estelle Gonzalez. Bit into no man's land. It's an easy control for Annette Hernandez. She now plays in Gade. Gade tried to roll a through ball into the path of Di Ruggiero. Just had a little bit too much steam on it, and nonetheless, I think Lucy Baker was ready to pounce on that one. Alvin Prasad just off of his coach's bench now, giving some instructions to some of his players. He's asking for a little bit more from Cassidy Kwan. just looking how the Langara Falcons have organized themselves defensively without the usual center back pairing of Madison Pinch and Tess Van de Vecht, with Pinch a scratch before this game. They've actually moved Ava Giovinazzo inside. Rita Sears keeps her usual right back position, and they've brought Amber Wells back into the mix at left back. And Amber Wells is kind of one of those players like Cassidy Kwan. You'll see her here, there, and everywhere. She can play in the left back. She can play in the middle of the park. She can play in the 10. She can play as a 9. It's a good little Swiss Army knife for Alvin Prasad to have. Two players, nonetheless, or no less, I should say. Cassidy Kwan and Amber Wells making themselves available at all positions for the squad here. Tess Van de Vecht's going to try and shepherd this one out. She's got Isabel Dobbin all over her, but manages to do the business, and it'll be a goal kick for Bonazoo. We're in the 10th minute. It's 1-0 Langara. The goal coming off the right foot of central defender Tess Van de Vecht. Madison Hung takes that one down on the thigh, and then Sombrero's her player. It's good play there by the number 5 Hung. And she's still going, Hung. She's gotten away from Trasolini in the left channel. Prasad, the coach, hollering for numbers to get in the box. It's low and hard across the top of the area. Gade just can't settle herself. The ball wouldn't squirt free either. I believe it was the number 15, Lucarelli. It was Chiara Lucarelli who did just enough to get in the way of Gade there and stifle a shot. Excellent play by Madison Hung, though, who pretty much from the halfway line sombreroed her player, took it for a dribble, and played in a nice low, hard cross right on the deck, right to the feet of Gade. Just what you like to see from the number 5, who I don't think I'm spoiling any news when I say she's probably been the player of the year so far for Langara, albeit through 5 match days. That'll go out for a corner kick. I beg your pardon, a goal kick. We're in the 11th minute, still 1-0 Langara. The other game today, VIU top of the table on 12 points. They're going to meet rock bottom Capilano on 0 points. And I'm sure the Cap Blues, the ladies, would love to get a result against a top of the table club like VIU. But VIU have been near perfect so far. And they won the top of the table clash against Langara last week handily 3-0. So you feel they will be the team to beat down the stretch, the Mariners, who, of course, are the reigning champions. Douglas in control now. Vertical ball right up Main Street. Not a ton of lift for it. It was looking for Isabel Dobbin. She couldn't get on the end of it. Madison Hung hangs a leg. It goes off her shin, and the Royals have it as far up the park as they've had it so far in this match. And Tess Van de Vecht, who has certainly added a bit of physicality and a bit of grit to this back line. The U Sports off-season pickup does ever so well to keep Anna Claver-Valdez at bay, and she's going to have her hands full here today, Van de Vecht, between the likes of Claver-Valdez and Isabel Dobbin. That's a Douglas front line that doesn't really quit, so the Langara Falcons, as I like to say, I should get it tattooed on myself, they have to be on their best behavior today. Thrown at the halfway line, it's Lucy Baker over to take. Wind just picking up here, as I'm sure you can hear on the crowd mic. We're high atop the park at Willoughby Field here, which is probably about 10 rows deep. And I wouldn't specifically call them nosebleeds. We're not 5 levels up, but high enough up where it creates a bit of a wind tunnel once the wind kind of gets going here. And you'll see some of the trees in the background kind of whipping around, but so far it doesn't look like it's affected any playing of any aerial balls at the moment. Not to say that Douglas or Langara have tried to launch a ton of those attacks. It's been mostly on the deck so far. Here comes Grimm. Good through ball looking for Anna Claver-Valdez. It's dealt with by Van de Vecht. Ball almost hooked over the top. Dobbin dropping deep now just to keep the ball for the Royals. Tries to get on the end of a long diagonal. Giovinazzo cuts it out though. Dobbin offside, but the ball squirts out to the left channel with Lucarelli trying to keep it in play. She does so, but can't get past Gade. Good defending there by Gade. That's a cross-seam ball trying to get for Madison Hung. Can Hung get to the return through ball? Madison Hung loses that duel to Haley Rogers, but forces keeper Gonzalez into a first-time clearance, which goes out into touch, which means the the Langara Falcons get to work their way up the park and implement more of that high press that they love ever so much. Cassidy Kwan on the ball now, searching for options, plays it into the box, side-footed away by Baker. Valdez has the overlapping run of her number 8, Chong, but just couldn't get it to where it was a good double team there by Wells and Hernandez just to stop the attack there of the Royals. 14, make it 15 minutes in. 1-0 Langara. Tess Vandevect with the free kick goal in the 2nd minute. Di Ruggiero. Kwan just tries to cut down that angle. It makes its way to Chong now. Chong inside. It's a misplaced pass to Hernandez, who herself misplaces her pass. And Chong will get another chance to get forward here. Once again, misplaces her pass. Her opposite 8, Minat Dillon, tries to get the ball forward. And Tess Vandevect under pressure from Valdez. Just thumps it clear, and the Falcons will have a chance to regroup. Wells hands it away. Wells knocks it down on the head. Played forward by Scott. It's a bit of head tennis in the middle of the park at the moment. Giovinazzo leans into a big header just to break up that heading session. Scott now. Good ball to the touchline for Chong, but just a bit too much steam on it. That's kind of been the early story for the Royals here in this opening 16 minutes or so. They just haven't been able to connect with passes. 16 minutes in, 1-0 Langara. Alvin Prasad asking for that push, and they've been so good about it this season, the Falcons. Outside of that VAU game, which was a different kettle of fish, with VIU being so offensively talented. The high press has really worked for the Falcons this season. Ball over the top, looking for Dobbin. She's onside, right onside. Can she go around the keeper? She can, but she just has a bit too much of a heavy touch. It was the right move by Dobbin, and what a great laced ball forward. A diagonal. I want to say it was Trasolini who unleashed that one. Bonazou flew off her line. Dobbin did ever so well just to clip it around her, but unfortunately this turf here had different ideas at Willoughby Field. We could be talking about a potential equalizer here, so warning shots. Langara will have to pull up their socks here. That was a real chance. And athlete of the week, number 10, Isabel Dobbin, probably one of the finer strikers in the women's PACWEST BC. She doesn't usually miss those chances, so they'll be counting themselves lucky, will the Falcons. "17 minutes gone. 1-0 for the Falcons. Hung takes the ball down on her chest, thought about backheeling it into the path of Kwan, and now tries to open up her body and play a diagonal ball swooping inside the 2 central defenders looking for the onrushing Abigail Gade, but it was just a bit too central, and it was really no problem in the end. Good ball forward there by Grimm. Hits the hand of Wells just on the halfway line, and Douglas have the ball again after a good early 10 minutes or so from Langara. The Royals are just starting to settle into this one. They're starting to connect a few more passes, and I think that ball to Isabel Dobbin could be the way home. They might just want to play a little bit more pragmatic. Kwan on the ball now, going for a dribble on the right foot, Kwan. And I'm not sure what the call there was. Offside on the far touchline, says the official. Cassidy Kwan must have ducked back from an offside position because it looked like she'd kept herself fairly onside. VIU and Capilano kick off in the other match today. That one gets going in just about 12 minutes time, and we'll keep you updated on that score throughout the day. I'll let you know what it means for the standings in the PACWEST BC women's side. Douglas need a victory here, you feel, don't they? They enter today match day 3 on 3 points, only 1 win, a resounding win albeit, against bottom of the table Capilano last weekend, but if they could go ahead and get 3 points here against Langara and shrink the gap to 3 points, I think that would be massive. But if Langara were to hold this result and go on 12 points. It might be a two-horse race with VIU and Langara battling it out for that top bye seed. Of course, top 3 teams do get in, but I'm sure the last thing Douglas want to do is back their way into the playoffs, especially after a good semifinal performance last year where, unfortunately, they were just undone by Capilano on penalty kicks of all things. That ball's kept in play despite Abigail Gade waving her hand frantically. Dobbin tries to play in Claver Valdez, but once again, just a bit too far ahead of the pacey number 5 for Douglas, and it's an easy clutch and claim for Bonazoo. And Madison Hung in a bit of a dogfight in the middle of the park there. It bounces off her hand. Free kick the way of the Douglas Royals. It'll be Haley Rogers up to take it. Oh, ball in for Claver Valdez. She just couldn't sort out her feet, and Amber Wells, the makeshift left back today, takes no chances and just hoofs it clear to Manat Dillon, who herself hoofs it against Ashlyn Grimm. It's bouncing all over the place at the moment as Langara just trying to get the ball free. Rita Sears goes for a dribble. She's dispossessed. This could be danger. Number, I want to say it's 15, Lucarelli, or perhaps Narcissus on the far side, whose name I haven't called yet. Grimm. This is promising. Flag stays down, crossing to the top of the 18-yard box. Amber Wells does well to chest it outside of the 18. Claver Valdez will keep it alive for Douglas. Cross from Trasolini looking for Dobbin. Good diagonal again, almost a carbon copy of the one that sprung Dobbin about 10 minutes ago. Once again, this one just a bit too much steam on it. 21st minute ticks over. It's still 1-0 Langara. Tess Van de Vecht, the Langara center back, with a scintillating free kick in the second minute to open the scoring. Head tennis on that far side, Rita Sears. The ball is allowed to be clipped in for Claver Valdez. It's a big miscommunication here between, I think it was Wells and Bonazoo. Wells was looking to deal with it, and Bonazoo flew off her line, maybe just a step late, but thankfully for her, she made up her paces quite quick and was able to just pick it over the shoulder of Amber Wells, or that might have been a scramble that I'm sure Alvin Prasad wouldn't have been none too happy with. But the Langara Falcon ladies, they bend but don't break. It's been all Douglas this last 5 minutes after struggling to kind of string together passes in the opening 10 minutes. Now Douglas look like they're really coming to life here. Claver Valdez in the middle of all things positive. Can't control that one. Chong cuts to her inside on her left foot. Wriggles away from Dillon into the feet of Claver Valdez. Tries to open up for a right-footed shot. Plays it to her right for Trasolini. Can Trasolini get in across? She does, but she gets too far underneath, and it sclaffs off the outside of her right boot and flies into the Starlight Developments advertisement board just behind the net of Kate Bonazoo. And a bit of a break here for Langara, who are under siege ever so slightly. No real chances conceded yet, but yikes. I can't imagine they want to be playing with fire for this long. We're 22 minutes in. It's 1-0 Langara. Ball just pops free there. It's a sea of legs flying in for it. Douglas come away with it. Scott into the path of Claver Valdez. Scott again has a chance. Pings it to her right. Chong, who was unmarked, had acres of space, just couldn't control the ball on the right touchline, or she would have had a crack at whipping in some unobstructed service. But it's kind of been the story of the day so far for Douglas. When the passing has been on, it's just that final pass that has been missing. Madison Hung, can she provide a bit of relief for her Falcon teammates? She's going to try and spring it forward for Cassidy Kwan, who would have been hard-pressed to get to that one, and it looked like Estelle Gonzalez in the Douglas net had it covered anyways. 23rd minute, 1-0 Langara. Oh, yeah. That gentle summer's breeze is all of a sudden becoming aggressive summer's breeze here atop the LEC. But it is a bit of still heat here in the valley, so sometimes you don't complain about the slight wind you might encounter. Vertical ball in the air, played forward for Claver Valdez, who does a great knockdown for Chong, but Chong misplays her pass again. And Langara, not doing themselves any favors, misplaced the subsequent pass. Grimm, great pivot there. And she's going to play in Lucarelli. Can she get to it? She does, Lucarelli. She's going to take on Cerceris. Cuts to the inside, gets past Cerceris. Slide tackle there from Hernandez. And that's, I think, just what the doctor ordered there. A little robust defending, no nonsense defending from the former Whitecaps Academy player. And Rita Cerceris has her hands full on that far side with Lucarelli, who looks to be a pacey and a shifty player. She's taken Cerceris inside a couple times now. That's definitely a battle the number 3 will relish for the Falcons, who is no stranger to a good joust for position up that right touchline. 25th minute now, just rolling over. It's 1-0 Falcons still. Only one real chance to speak up for Douglas, and it was an Isabel Dobbin through ball that she tried to play around the keeper, but just put a bit too much weight on it. Ooh, and Madison Hung, almost similar to the first match between these two a couple weeks ago. Almost took the ball off Estelle Gonzalez, who was perhaps a bit too cavalier in that particular instance with the ball at her feet. Falcons coach Prasad bellowing to his players to step up their line, as Douglas seemed very content to try and play out of the back, and it hasn't been silky at points. Sometimes it has, but there has been times where the Falcons have been able to catch them. Rogers tried to play it infield for Hannah Scott, the Coquitlam native, but it was just a sea of orange legs there, and it pops out into touch for a throw-in. Trasolini, this is good play from Douglas. Grimm had her hands full with Annette Hernandez, who's doing ever so well to try and win the ball back. It'll be a foul. Good endeavor there from Hernandez, but just a step too late, and bundles over her player Scott. Free kick right on the halfway line, 26th minute, 1-0 Langara. Grimm. Headed clear by Van de Vecht right into the waiting lap of Di Ruggiero. Thought about clipping in a through ball for Gage. She did. She presented the run, did Gage, but once the ball got released, she didn't really turn on the jets, and it was an easy bit of defending there from Lucy Baker. Scott, who's become more and more involved as this first half has worn on. She's really kind of being that number 6 or number 8 kind of pivot for Douglas. Tess Van de Vecht has been so good. She's been so good for the Falcons at the beginning portion of this season. She was just that little missing piece to complement Madison Pincher. The ball takes a bounce off of Cassidy Kwan, and Madison Hung might actually get onto the end of it. Cuts to the inside. Kwan, can she lay it on a platter? No, she goes for the shot and hoofs it over the net. Oh, Abigail Gade was making the overlapping run on that far right-hand side, and maybe just a little 10-yard layoff from Hung, and it's a walk-in on net for the number 10 of the Falcons, but you can't fault Hung for having a hit there just outside the 18-yard box. She corks it over the bar. 27th minute, 1-0 Langara. And I've mentioned Tess Van de Vecht at the defensive end for Langara, just doing some of the dirty defending that just needed to be done in years past, and doing ever so well alongside Madison Pincher. In today's case, Ava Giovinazzo, who slid into the center defense. But Madison Hung is another one of those off-season pickups that has just been bread and butter for Langara. It just seems whenever they need a little bit of a pressure relief, there's Hung in that left channel, who she's brave. She's willing to take on a player. She can skip around a player. She's got great feet. She can play a ball, and it looks like she'll have a chance to do it here. Cuts back to her right foot, now to her left, still going Hung. Rolls it across for Kwan, back heel, and it's taken care of by the keeper, Estelle Gonzalez, and unless that ball from Hung was played, I guess Cassidy Kwan must have been offside and then dragged herself back onside to get that chance on the back heel, because I'm just wondering what that flag may have gone up with, because Hung was onside all day and she dribbled it in from the half, so unfortunate there. Nonetheless, Estelle Gonzalez had made the save. She'd made herself big in the net. 28th minute, 1-0, and Langara still rapping at the door. Looks like we're going to have a substitution coming up in here. Week 1's Athlete of the Week, Erin Bandel from Richmond, the tall number 9 for Langara. She's going to make her way onto the park here. And her link-up play with Madison Hung was something to behold in those opening couple of weeks, so things might be going from bad to worse for this Douglas defense, who already see themselves 1-0 down. And now we'll have to defend quite the combo of players up top. It'll be the number 10, Abigail Gage. She's going to go off on the far right-hand side. And Gates had her opportunities here today, but just seems to have shied away in some instances. And I feel maybe that ball from Madison Hung that she had done ever so well to cut in on this left channel might have been better played to the back post for Abigail Gate as Cassidy Kwan was in tight quarters. But it's been a good shift for Gade so far. 29 minutes into this one, she'll make way in the number 9 Bandel into the park. And Bandel, much like Hung, has got a real bag of tricks. She's a ball winner. She does ever so well in tight spaces with lots of players around her. She has a shot. Maybe not the fastest player in the world, but that's what you have Madison Hung for, and there she goes. Hung's on the trot again. She's in the left channel. She only really has Cassidy Kwan. She needs help. Bandel's making the late tracking run. Hung tries to play the ball into Kwong, but it's just cut out there by the number 2, Trasolini. Kept alive, though, by Bandel. 30 minutes gone, 1/3 of the matchup in the books. And it's still 1-0 Langara. Tess Van de Vecht with the goal. And they've done ever so well, Langara, to keep Isabel Dobbin and Anna Claver Valdez quiet, which I think is priority number 1, 2, and 3 when you're playing against these Douglas ladies, because they are 2 very scary defenders. They're monsters around the penalty box, and the last thing you want to do is give up an inch. But so far, Giovinazzo, Cerceris, Van der Vecht, and Wells at left back have kept them fairly quiet. Bandel. She rides the tackle of Grimm to Hernandez, and a good switch of play to Cerceris, but it was hit with some kind of venom and way behind Cerceris, who's now going to have to backtrack. And I think Rita Cerceris is a very honest player, because if that was me, I would have hoofed that ball into touch, because it looked like Douglas was right on their backside wanting to get that ball moving swiftly. So fair play award goes to Rita Cerceris. I wouldn't have been as generous. Annette Hernandez makes herself available for Cerceris. She plays her her clearance off the backside of Lucarelli. It's a deep throw in inside their own half for the Falcons. VIU and Capilano just kicking off in the other matchup. VIU top of the table and looking to extend their lead, whereas Capilano are almost in damage control. Cassidy Kwan, I'm sorry, was onside there. I'm looking right across the line here, and I know my cameraman Rodrigo is too. That was right onside. That was actually a perfect ball, and I think the lineswoman has played that one fairly conservatively, and that's fine. But you feel for Cassidy Kwan, who had timed that run to perfection. Trasolini lifts the ball into the path of looking for Chong, but it's taken care of by Wells. Hung just a bit too late on that pass attempt, and it's picked off. Chong floats into the top of the 18-yard box. Giovinazzo's there. Bit of a collision there with Dobbin, but it does the job for Langara, albeit for the time being. Bandel plays it forward, dead central, right up Main Street. The closest was Di Ruggiero, and even she would have been hard-pressed to get to it. 32nd minute, 1-0 Langara. Van de Vecht has the goal. Hung. Still Hung. Great 1-2, and then a third looking for Bandel. She's going to get there onside. As mentioned, not the paciest player in the world, Bandel, but she's got such good feet, and she knows how to take players on and shield and create space, and her patience to wait for backtracking players, or I should say late arriving players, is excellent that time, unfortunately. As I'm trumpeting her praise, she stepped on the ball. She's won it back, though. Inside for Dillon. Dillon tried to play a through ball for Hung, but Hung had realized she was offside and was making her paces back to get onside when the ball was played. 33rd minute, 1-0 Langara. Only one real chance so far for Douglas, and it was a through ball from Trasolini that found Dobbin, who was onside. She got around the on-rushing keeper Bonazu, but unfortunately just played it out into touch in close quarters. Hernandez now Hung on the overlap. Hernandez is going to take on the defender Rogers, then cut back. Good patience there from Hernandez, who might have tried to force the issue or spray a pass, but just keeps the ball alive. Good possession there. Di Ruggiero will have the free kick on the far side. How massive would a second goal be for Langara heading into the halftime locker room? Outside of the goal and the Cassidy Kwan backheel chance, they haven't had a ton of opportunities. I mean, Madison Kwan had a rip from outside the 18 that went over the bar on a counter-attacking play, but it's been fairly cagey so far, all things considered. Good play there by Chong. Cuts on the inside of Wells, has the overlapping run. Oh, and it's just rolled past Giovinazzo. Dobbin! Great stop! And it's kept out by Bonazou. What a stop there by Bonazou, as Giovinazzo, I didn't think was thinking that was going to get through, but it kind of took a spin off the turf and landed right on the foot of the player you don't want it to land at, which was Dobbin. She hits it first time left, trying to hit it over the onrushing Bonazou, but she palms it out. Good stop from Bonazou, who's been bang on when she's had to be today. We were just talking about the potential lack of chances and caginess of this matchup. Well, it sprung to life there, and it was on the foot of the number 10, Dobbin. Once again, good save by Bonazou. Not many keepers live to tell the tale after going eye to eye with Dobbin, so kudos there. Ashlyn Grimm, it's going to be a left-footed in-swinger. Right into the 6-yard box, back post, headed clear by Manat Dillon. I beg your pardon, it was actually Giovinazzo who got to it. It flies clear on the left-hand side, still kept alive though. I think it's Lucarelli. Another raked in cross into the air. It takes a helping head. Grimm's closest to it. Bonazou's there as well. Good job by Bonazou to just shield it out as well. I thought she might try and dive and take it off the feet of Dobbin there, but Bonazou just put her body in the way. I'm not sure what that or who that deflection came off of, but it certainly didn't help matters for the Falcons. That one was knuckling all over the penalty box, and I think if it just held up on the turf like maybe a couple centimeters, Ashlyn Grimm had a serious look at it there, but it kind of just hopped over her right when she went to go put the noggin on it. Good little spell of play there from Douglas, though, who look like they're not out of this one by a long stretch. Through ball from Dobbin, beg your pardon, it's an overlapping run now from Dobbin for Lucarelli. Lucarelli plays one on the deck looking for the number 16. Narcissus. It's thumped clear by Langara, who look a bit gassed at the moment. The best outlet they have, I would say, is probably Madison Hung, but even she can't run all day, can she? Yeah, it might have to be Gatorade bottles and orange slices at halftime for the Langara Falcons, because outside of that opening 10 minutes and some few little spells of play, it's been mostly Douglas, if I'm being honest here. 36th minute, 1-0 Langara. Second minute free kick by Tess Vandevecht. The only thing between these two. That's a good play there. Rita Sears gets kind of left for dead by Lucarelli. Unfortunately, Isabel Dobbin hadn't picked up on the through ball that Lucarelli had unleashed. And it's an easy clutch and claim again for Bonazou. That ball takes a bit of an awkward hop, and Madison Hung might actually use that to her advantage. She's gone to the outside of Trasolini. Had to play it forward to try and create a bit of wiggle room in space. Do our best to bring you the time on this matchup. Unfortunately, we don't have the overlay for today's broadcast. I've been doing my best to bring up the score, but now we've lost the field clock, so it stopped at the 36th minute, but we'll do our best to give you a time. Douglas plays the ball to the top of the 18-yard box. It goes over the head of Scott. Chong will keep it alive now. Scott, through ball for Claver Valdez. She's going to wriggle away from Wells here. This could be dangerous. Valdez, hard ball across the area. Dobbin was at the top of the six. It's headed away by Giovinazzo. Dobbin again there. Header over the bar. Oh, from about 1 or 2 yards out, but a very acute angle. A couple of bang-bang plays here, and that's something that the Falcons will want to clean up is the second waves of pressure. They might clear the first or the second, but balls and service just keep flying back into the penalty box, and if you play those odds, it's a very tough game. And Bonazou so far has been right on top of everything, but I only think you're going to give Isabel Dobbin that many open looks at net before she's eventually going to punish you. Hung, who you can see the sun is kind of beaming down towards the Douglas net, and any player with their back towards the Douglas net is having to put up the old hand awning, the old hand shield, and you saw Madison Hung doing it there. She was just trying to pick the ball out of the sun, more or less. Chong in the right channel here. Can she get in across? She does, but I'm not sure if it took a deflection or not. It comes off the outside of her right boot again. It's been tough service from this right channel, whether it's been Chong or Trasolini. And they've gotten in the naughty areas to just provide a bit of dangerous service outside the penalty box. It's kind of been hooked over the net. Substitution upcoming for Douglas. They're going to bring on the number 7, Katie Buckle, and the number 22, Kelly Miata. Making way will be the number 2, Trasolini, and the number 16, Kaya Narcis. Maybe just something tactically there, or a bit. Look, I can't say I've minded the play of Trasolini. She's been in a real healthy duel with Madison Hung in the early stages in this one, but she's actually provided some of the better diagonal service for Isabel Dobbin that has created some chances. So I think maybe what they sacrifice offensively, they might, or I should beg your pardon, offensively, they might make up defensively. Madison Hung now tried to chase a long hooped ball from the middle of the park. Erin Bantle sent it her way, but she just couldn't reel it in, the number 5. We're in the 39th minute now. It's still 1-0 Langara. Field clock back underway here at the Langley Event Center. Crack maintenance staff here at the LEC doing the business. Estelle Gonzalez plays out to her right. Miata now in for Scott. Chong. Good ball inside there for Claver Valdez, and things have opened up for Douglas if they can manage their numbers. And they have. Claver Valdez and Miata have worked it wonderfully up this right touchline. Claver Valdez onto the head of Dobbin! My goodness, from that distance you would expect Dobbin to not at home, but she watches it glance off the top of her head. Perhaps she was trying to get a bit too cute and put it up in the top corner. I think a simple redirect on net, and Kate Bonazou would have been scrambling. What a chance there. Claver Valdez, great 1-2 play with Kelly Miata, left this entire left-hand side of the Falcons defense. Wells, Hung, Dillon, left them for dead. And they get the service right, and it's pinpoint. And the number 10 Dobbin, who you expect to score 9.9 times out of 10, unfortunately just seems a bit snake-bitten now in this matchup. '41st minute, still 1-0 Langara. I can't imagine a ton of added time here, as there hasn't been a lot of stoppages. And there doesn't seem to be a video stream or box score available yet for the VIU Capilano out of town scoreboard matchup, but we'll do our best to bring you that score, perhaps after halftime. They kicked off probably about 11 minutes ago, and of course VIU in commanding control of the ladies' table on 12 points, and Capilano, I think, would be pleased as punch just to get a point out of that one. Hernandez. Ball for Hung, cut out by Miata. '42nd minute, 1-0 Langara. A ball steamed on the deck there, looking for the on-running Buckle. I think it was Lucarelli who tried to play it. Beg your pardon, I think it was Grimm, actually. Wasn't reeled in by Buckle. And Langara, under slightest little bit of pressure, will lift it out of their zone. And Coach Alvin Prasad will get the ladies in white up the park, who've been playing a little deep here in the last 6 minutes or so, and it's really welcomed in some Douglas offensive threats. Sir Sirius, or I beg your pardon, it's Di Ruggiero, also ponytailed like Sir Sirius. Madison Hung made that cross seam diagonal run trying to get in front of the defender Miata there. It just didn't come off. But Cassidy Kwan now, oh, it looked like she might have found a seam. It was Erin Bandel who just tried to roll a 10-yarder on the deck forward for Kwan, but just too tight of a lane to get it through the number 13 for Langara. And Hernandez loses out there. This could be danger if Van de Veck doesn't get this just right. She was in between Dobbin and Claver Valdez. She needs help, Van de Veck, at the moment. The Langara midfield hasn't dropped in a swift manner, and it's tons of green shirts in and around the 18-yard box. Now they finally made their paces back, but I was a bit worried there for the Falcons defenders that they were going to have to defend a 4-on-8 or something. 43rd minute, 1-0 Langara. The ball looks like it came out for a throw-in as Sir Sirius was trying to dribble it centrally. And the last thing I'm sure Langara want to do is concede a late goal in this first half after doing ever so well to keep it at 1-0. Two minutes plus probably a light amount of stoppage time at the Langley Event Center here, Willoughby Field. The Langara home park as they play host to this doubleheader against Douglas today. PACWEST doubleheader as always on match day 5. First up is the ladies. We're into this encounter now, and then the Douglas men take on the Langara men. That one gets going at 2:30. Good ball down the left channel for Douglas. This looks promising. It's a 4-on-4 if they can manage their numbers here. Top of the box is Buckle. She almost got the ball. The ricochet will go out for a corner kick. Actually, it looks like offside flag, so Langara will not have to defend a potential set piece, which I'm sure they're more than happy with. As mentioned, the Langara men, they'll get going against the Douglas men at 2:30. David Rodriguez Zagara named Athlete of the Week for Langara after his 2-goal performance and a come-from-behind victory over VIU last weekend. You know he'll be in the mix for Mark Rosardo's club as they try and take down Douglas for a second match day in a row. Not in a row, I beg your pardon, but as far as Douglas and Langara match days are concerned, yes, it would be in a row as they were 1-0 victorious. Last time these two clubs met here at the LEC, it was Dante Talarico who had the lone marker there. We'll see if it's anything different here from Douglas, who started out looking like they were going to be the belle of the ball in the PACWEST men's soccer division, opening with 2 straight victories, but then dropped subsequently 2 straight, so they're in 3rd spot and they're desperate to get to the heights that they had carved out for themselves earlier in the campaign. Once again, that's the men's match coming up at 2:30. The women's match just about to tick over into halftime. We're in the 45th minute now. There hasn't been a lot of stoppage time. You could argue that Douglas should be level here. There's been enough, I want to say at least 2 or 3 or 4 half-edge chances at the very least for Isabel Dobbin. 1 run on net, a couple headers. Anna Claver Valdez has been busy, but the Langara Falcons, who themselves have a goal and a couple chances off the feet of Madison Hung and Cassidy Kwan, they'll want to tick up the energy ever so slightly in this second half upcoming. I'm sure Coach Alvin Prasad will have something to say to that effect, as outside of the opening 15 minutes, Langara have just been a bit behind the ball compared to Douglas. They've moved the ball around nicely of Douglas. Kwan, right-footed shot, side of the net. Madison Hung was there and was the nearest option, but Kwan saw some daylight and tried to tuck it into that top left-hand bin of Gonzalez's net just as the referee blows for the halftime whistle, literally on the stroke of halftime. And as it stands, the Langara ladies leading 1-0 off the strength of a Tess Van de Beek second-minute free kick. We'll take a quick 15-minute break and we'll come back with the second half of the women's match, the early encounter of this PACWEST doubleheader here in Langley, BC. The men up at 2:30, the women, Langara leading 1-0, halftime, 15 minutes. We'll be back with more PACWEST action. We're back at the Langley Event Center here. Match day 5, another PACWEST doubleheader as the Falcons ladies and Royals ladies, Douglas College, now underway. In the second half, the score 1-0 for Langara on the strength of a second-minute Tess Vandevicht free kick. The men's match comes up at 2:30. Of course, top of the table Langara hosting third spot Douglas. That gets going in just over an hour's time. One other match on the out-of-town scoreboard for the ladies. Table-topping VIU currently leading bottom of the table Capilano 2-0. That one in the 32nd minute or so. And we'll keep you up to date on that one. But it sounds like regardless of what happens here between third place Douglas and second place Langara, it'll be VIU walking out of match day 5 with top of the table honors again. Alvin Prasad just hearing some of his instructions at the dugout level. Heading into the second half, they want a lot more physical play from the Langara Falcons ladies. They felt they got walked all over in that first half. I wouldn't say they were walked all over physically, but they were definitely second best as far as flow of play. Yes, they were up 1-0 and they had a good opening press in the opening 10 minutes. Marina Pashalidis, can she square it across for Abigail Gade? She goes for a shot. Abigail Gade was wide open. All Marina Pashalidis had to do was square a ball first time across for Gade, and it would have been a serious chance. But going back to the halftime talk from Coach Alvin Prasad, I don't think they were walked over physically, but they were kind of second best outside of that first 15 minutes where the high press really worked, and the likes of Madison Hung and Cassidy Kwan and even Annette Hernandez were busy in and around the penalty box. Abigail Gade as well. They managed the one goal, but after that, they kind of took a back seat, and as the half went on, they kind of sat deeper and deeper and deeper and welcomed more and more Douglas pressure. And if it wasn't for the uncharacteristic lack of finishing from Isabel Dobbin, who probably had 2 or 3 really good chances in that first half, just couldn't find the back of the net. Pashalidis now into the path of Hung, overlapping run of Gade. Bandel keeps the ball alive, though, and just creates a bit of space there. Then tries to play it into the path of Gade, but it was a waist-height ball that was easily cleared by Kelly Miata in the Douglas defense. Douglas definitely had their chances in that first half, but just couldn't find the back of the net. And there were some instances where their passing maybe let them down when they were in good areas, but for the most part, I think you'd probably tip your cap to Douglas as far as being the better of the two squads through the spell of play. But what's on the score sheet is what matters most at the end of the day, and Langara doing just enough to edge this one 1-0 on the Tess Vandevicht free kick goal in the second minute. And I can't imagine they want to defend 88 plus minutes to get their 1-0 victory, so an insurance marker would be lovely, but at the moment it's Douglas who have other ideas. Gade now for Hernandez. Of course, Isabel Dobbin entering this matchup with Athlete of the Week honors following Douglas's first victory of the campaign last week. Looks like Marina Pashalidis might get on the end of this one. Bandel now. Pashalidis demands the ball back, and she gets in the right channel. She's going to take on Ashlyn Grimm. Is Pashalidis still going? Pashalidis in the penalty area. Can she start out across? She does, to the top of the box. Gade, did it come and take out the deflection off Miata? It did. It's still bobbling around in the 6-yard box, and Madison Hung's just making herself a nuisance. It does ever so well for the Falcons. Good cross there by Pashalidis. And between Hung and Gade, just the pace of those two ladies alone is causing real troubles for the Douglas Royals at the moment. Throw in for Rita Circeris, who's gotten further up the park than she has in the entire first half. Bandel now by the corner flag. Tries to dribble past Grimm. And it'll be a corner kick for Bandel. Looked like she might have won that duel, Grimm, but it's the number 9 who stands tallest at the end of the day. Madison Hung will come over to take the right-footed in-swinger. Only 3 Falcons inside the area, and they're kind of chilling, for lack of a better term. Here come a couple more. Now they've got 6, but they've only got 1 in the penalty dot and no one inside the 6-yard box. So you would expect Douglas just to collapse on the goal line. Hung puts it into the 6. It's an easy clutching claim for Gonzalez, but it flies through her hands, and it's a sea of players just kicking away at it there at the back post. And somehow it manages to stay out, and I was kind of saying that, the Falcons might want to put someone in that 6-yard box, because there's been times with Gonzalez today where it hasn't exactly been rock steady hands, and that might have been one of those opportunities just to pounce on an error and put themselves up 2-0. Kudos to the Falcons, though, who, like I said, weren't necessarily playing rope-a-dope at the end of that first half, but they look far more likely to concede than to score. They've come out with a renewed energy here in the second half, so you definitely have to tip the cap, and I think just the double substitution to bring on the pacey Gade and the industrious Marina Pashalides has just worked for the Falcons for the time being. Goal on the out-of-town scoreboard. VIU continue to top the charts when it comes to goal difference. They're now up 3-0 on bottom of the table, Capilano. That one's in the 38th minute, so barring an absolute miracle, it looks like Cap will continue to do a bit of damage control to salvage a bit of this early portion of the season, and VIU are absolutely steamrolling at the moment, and I can't imagine anybody wants to take them on the finals, but it looks like that will be the destiny of one of these other three teams in the PACWEST Women's Soccer Division. VIU, the Mariners, picking right where they left off on their championship run last campaign. 1-2 between Kleber Valdez and Chong. That doesn't come off on the far right-hand side. It's cleared into touch. Hernandez just tried to lift it, a vertical ball into the path of Gade, but it came off of Chong. Of course, the Langara home park here at Willoughby Field. That's a risky ball there from Erin Bandel. It's been picked off by Lucarelli. Giovinazzo comes across to spare her midfielder's blushes. Risky business there from Bandel, who's usually spot on with her passing. She put her defenders in a bit of a spot there, but they cleared the danger. 52nd minute, still 1-0 Langara. Just mentioning that the LEC is the home field for Langara, which could change in years to come, but it has been this way for the past 3 years. And of course, where Vancouver FC, the CPL team, play, the Vancouver Giants of the WHL, and the CEBL Fraser Valley, former Fraser Valley, now Vancouver Bandits Basketball Club. Low, hard ball across the area from Isabel Dobbin, comes off of Tess Van de Vecht. It looked like it might go out for a corner, but Kate Bonazou, who puts in her first contribution of this second half, just stops that from happening. Good ball control there from Bandel. She tries to feather it forward for Gade, but it was Kelly Miata who was able to pick it off as the right back there. Good control there by Bandel, though. One of the best Falcon players on the ball, that's for sure. Through ball for Kleber Valdez. Flag goes up. Langara already holding a 1-0 victory over Douglas a couple weeks back. Madison Hung had the lone goal there. And Douglas, meanwhile, just trying to build off the one victory they got last week. It's been a sluggish start to the campaign for the ladies in green after a very fruitful campaign last year. Haley Rogers now under pressure from Abigail Gade. Just forces it out into touch. It'll be a deep throw in for the Falcons right by the corner flag. And yes, the awesome concession stand at the Langley Event Center here at Willoughby Field. Whether it's a piping hot cup of cocoa or a trough full of gummy worms, they seem to have everything. Even got the hot dogs, which I've affectionately named Falcon Dogs. So come down, get yourself a Falcon Dog. Throw a little bit of mustard, a little bit of ketchup on it. If you're a relish man, if you like living dangerously, throw a little bit of relish on it too. Just one of the many amenities here at the hub of the Fraser Valley, as I'm calling it, the Langley Event Center in Willoughby Park here. Circeris for Van de Vecht, who's in a bit of a standoff there with Kleber Valdez. Hooks it over the top, and this might be just what the doctor ordered for Hung. Can she clip it over the keeper? Oh, Estelle Gonzalez got it just right there. It looked like if Madison Hung could just lift it over the onrushing Gonzalez, it might have been a 2-0 deficit for Douglas. But Gonzalez got it right on the money that time. Bandel looking for options, not a ton. And now Rita Circeris for Giovinazzo. Giovinazzo into the path of Bandel. Good duel there between Bandel and, I want to say it's Isabel Dobbin. It was, who's playing deeper and deeper, Dobbin, just to get on the ball. She's been dash isolated in that opening, I should say, portions of this second half. Confusing my words here, I'm so excited. 56th minute, it's still 1-0 Langara. Great pickoff there by Gate on the left touchline, now into the channel. Plays it across the area, it takes a deflection, corner kick. She didn't really have a ton of options, Gate, there. She was just trying to ride the tackle of Miata to wait for a late arriving run, but it never seemed to arrive. I think Pashalides was the closest, and she was waiting for the ball to be stood up at the back post. Gate does well to at least keep it alive with a corner kick. We're into the 56th, almost 57th minute, and it'll be a right-footed in-swinger from Madison Hung. And here it comes. It's got some lofters to the top of the 6th. Bandel almost got a head on it. It was Giovinazzo who actually put the hair follicles onto it after Bandel missed. And it was probably a couple feet over the junction of the crossbar and the post of Gonzalez's net. A real good chance there by the Falcons. It's still 1-0 though for Langara. We're now into the 57th. Miata tried to roll a pacey through ball forward for Claver Valdez, but Amber Wells was equal to that task. Manat Dillon now. Through ball for Pashalides. Good control there by Pashalides, and she got the better of Rogers on the trot almost. Pashalides still putting up the fight there. She's got such a good step of acceleration, does Pashalides. If you go to sleep, I beg your pardon, for just a second, she can nip in and take the ball right off your foot, and that's almost what happened there. She just kind of lacks a bit of body and physicality sometimes, does Pashalides, and she was held at bay there by, I believe it was Baker. Bandel now seems to be all over the park at the moment, and I mean that in a good way. Ooh, and Hernandez has missed the subsequent ball played forward, through ball looking for Dobbin, cut out. Good play by Giovinazzo as if Dobbin gets away there, and she's got away now. That's onside, one-on-one. Isabel Dobbin has all time and day to sort out her shot, and she does. Left-footed, top bins, and Langara get punished for a little bit of slack defending there. The gaps opened up for Dobbin, and no one really acknowledged that she was wide open at that back post. The ball squirts free for Dobbin. She won't miss from that distance with that amount of time and her patience. Athlete of the week notches her tally. It's 1-1, and probably over the spell of this 58 minutes that we've played, the right result so far. And now the Falcons have to answer the bell, because I'm sure Douglas will smell blood here, and their quality has finally paid off and shown some reward. Van de Veck does ever so well to just shield that one away from Dobbin, who you know is going to be like a shark in water now. All the good strikers are. The second they get off the mark, look out, because that's when stuff really gets serious. She could have probably had a hat trick today, Dobbin, let's be honest here, so she'll feel like she's got amends to make even with that one goal that just flew in the back of the net. Let's have a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We're in the 45th minute, so right on the stroke of halftime between league-leading VIU and Capilano. Still 3-0 for the Mariners. Giveaway here, Pashalides into Hung, who once again has her touch get away from her. And it's almost been role reversal. That was Douglas in that first half. They found themselves in good territory, but their final touch got away from them, I should say. That's been Langara's MO so far here in this second half. They've done ever so well to get themselves into good positions, but the final touch has just gone a begging a few times. We're in the 60th minute. It's 1-1. Dobbin for Douglas and Van de Vecht for Langara. Here comes the corner kick. Madison Hung to the top of the 6-yard box. Giovinazzo again gets ahead to it, but once again can't redirect it on net. It flies out the far side. I believe that's Manat Dillon jockeying for position with Lucy Baker. Miata. Clearance comes off the back of Abigail Gade's head, and she kind of didn't know where it went after that. And it goes the way of Douglas. 61st minute, 1-1. Claver Valdez. Halftime between VIU and Capilano. 3-0 the result there. Bandel somehow keeps it in play. Thumps over Grimm, has the switch of play. Nope. She's adjudged to have fouled Grimm on that last clash. She looked to pick up Marina Pashalides, who was busting to get forward and receive that diagonal ball. Madison Hung lifts it over top for Pashalides. Estelle Gonzalez has an easy run off her line. Sirius loses out to Lucarelli, who nutmegs Hernandez. And referee didn't play advantage there, which I think might have helped Douglas because they had players getting forward. They had Buckle, Claver Valdez, and now Chong on the trot. Claver Valdez trying to get to the outside of Van de Vecht, which is a dubious proposition. Van de Vecht doesn't usually give up a ton of ground. Heading into the match day 5 here today, Langara entered second on 9 points, Douglas third on 3 points. So a draw here isn't the end of the world for Langara. It does keep things at status quo, but it does put a little bit of a gap between them and VIU, who at the moment look like they're sizing up to be runaway winners of the PACWEST Women's West Soccer Division. Dobbin for Buckle, rolls all the way through for Claver Valdez, offside, but Bonazoo stopped anyways. My goodness, it's starting to open up a bit now at the Langara back end. Douglas players are getting through a little bit easier than they were in that first half. This time, Claver Valdez, Johnny on the spot, and if it wasn't for the offside flag and the big white mitts of Kate Bonazoo, we're talking 2-1 here, and Langara playing with a bit of fire at the moment, and not the last thing they want to do. As mentioned, I think a draw suits them just fine in this encounter as far as the standings go, but a loss definitely makes things interesting, especially if you're Douglas. So Langara can't concede anymore if they're to want to at least put a stranglehold on that second spot, because at the moment VIU looks unbeatable. And the wind has settled down here at the Langley Event Center. And you can see the mountains in the off in the far distance to the west, but a little bit of haze hanging over it now. You can still see the beautiful mountains here, but you can definitely tell that misty fall weather is starting to set. Great ball in for Pashalides. Can she get a shot away? Pashalides, just not enough sting on it. It's an excellent lateral ball with just the slightest hint of diagonalness to it that found Pashalides just onside. And I think if Pashalides can take up those spaces more and more often on counter-attacking opportunities, one of those shots has to be a real chance. Good spatial awareness and good speed there from Pashalides. She just needed a little bit more sting on the shot. Ball helped over the top for Buckle. She's dragged down from behind, and I'm sorry that looked like the faintest bit of body contact from Van de Vecht, but the forward goes down and the referee will signal for a free kick. Probably about 25, 27 yards out, so it's going to take something special if they want to hit it direct. But with Isabel Dobbin, who's been an absolute beast in the area today, especially from headed chances, she's gotten in some good areas. She just hasn't been able to redirect it on target. This will be a serious test for the Langara backline, who, as mentioned, as the game has gone on, they've kind of just slowly opened up more and more and more, and I'm sure that's something Coach Alvin Prasad, who is looking very pensive at the moment, is just trying to process in his head how he can shrink down those gaps. It's going to be Ashlyn Grimm, left-footed, standing over this one. It's a 3-woman wall. She might just blast it, Grimm. She's gonna. And it's a heck of a shot! Oh, just over the bar. It had enough speed, and it was always dipping. It didn't have a lot of bend or swerve on it, but it was hit on a frozen rope, and from that distance, I had my serious doubts, but color me wrong. Good effort there from Ashlyn Grimm, and it just knuckles, maybe even took a lick of the crossbar on the way by, but thankfully Bonazoo didn't have to touch a glove to it. Pressure still all on Langara here. Sir Sirius now. She gets taken down from behind. That'll be a foul. Giovinazzo tries to get it forward for Hung. Bandel does ever so well to ride the tackle of Lucarelli. Oh, good play from Bandel just to get in between 1-2. Steps on the ball, clever back heel. Almost unleashed Hung there. But it gets hoofed up into the supporter section and will just stay up there. Cameraman Rodrigo all the way from Peru. He was working as a ball boy in that first half, but I don't know where he is now. I think he went for a cigarette or something. That ball might stay up in the bleachers here by the, what would that be, the southwest portion of the Langley Event Center in Willoughby Park here. And one thing that has improved for Douglas throughout the course of this match is playing out from the back. There was some times early in that first 10-15 minutes where the Langara Falcons high press just caused them all sorts of troubles when they were trying to play out of the back. But they've become more and more comfortable, whether it's just because that high press from Langara has just been a bit slacker, or they've just found their way. It seems to be working a little bit better for the Royals. Isabel Dobbin keeps that ball in. She tried to feather one right along the touchline for Buckle. But Giovinazzo made life hard on the number 7 in green, and it's a throw-in for Douglas. We're in the 67th minute, if you're just joining us. 1-1. First half marker from Tess Van de Vecht was answered with a second half marker by lethal striker, one of my favorite players to watch here in the PACWEST, Isabel Dobbin. Going to be another free kick, and this is almost a carbon copy of the spot that Van de Vecht was in when she put in her free kick for Langara in the first half. It's going to be your opposite defender, Ashlyn Grimm, which 5 minutes or less ago peeled the leather off a free kick from even longer out and almost scored a goal. So this might set up just perfectly for the number 25 in Royal Green. Everybody's queuing up at the back post, though, and a left-footed server of the ball. I would expect some cross action here, but Grimm, once again, throwing the broadcaster for a loop, always keeping me guessing. I thought that was a clear-cut cross all day, but she used it as a feint and tried to just smash it outside of the left boot and hook it up into the top bins of Kate Bonazu's right post. A little bit of a wind has settled over the park now. Perhaps that just carried that last free kick from Grimm just a dash wide. I'm sure Bonazu will be thankful for it if that was the case, but the Langara Falcons spare their blushes again, and I can't imagine they want to play with fire this many times and allowing those type of free kicks in and around the penalty box. 69th minute, still 1-1. Ball on the deck looking for Claver Valdez. That's cut out by Annette Hernandez. Langara substitutes just off the dugout bench. Getting a slight warm-up in by section LM in the southwest corner of the park here, just behind the net of Estelle Gonzalez. Throw in for Buckle. She gets past one, gets past two. She's making it easy, Buckle. Across the 6-yard box. It was low and hard, and it was steaming in there, but it was very central to Kate Bonazu's goal line. She just had to stoop down to one knee and make it an easy clutch and claim, but I can't imagine the Langara Falcons defense will be happy about how Buckle just managed to wriggle her way past 2 or 3 players and get that service, and then they need to nip that in the bud if they are to see out this potential draw here. If the Falcons can claim themselves back into it, it's anyone's to play for really here. Douglas, like I said, throughout the run of play so far, probably the tip of the cap. And they've had more chances, and they've had the better run of play and just kind of look a bit more sorted out than the Falcons at the moment. But that's not to say anything can happen here, because the Falcons have had their chances. Bandel now, right by the corner flag. We're in the 70th minute, still 1-1. Bandel gets the ball poked off of her foot. It'll be a corner kick. It'll be Madison Hung over to take this, right-footed outswinger, one would assume. It will be Madison Hung again. Annette Hernandez, Rita Sirius, and Amber Wells, the only players outside of the box. Right to the top of the dot. Bandel has it roll off her shoulder. Annette Hernandez with a left-footed shot, and she got over top of it as well, but all she could do was guide it fiercely past the right post of Annette Gonzalez. It was hit with some kind of venom by Hernandez, but didn't really have the precision to trouble the yellow-clad keeper in the Douglas net. And, of course, Douglas wearing their all-royal green strip, head to toe, a little bit of forest green in there as well, some white and silver trimming and piping and lettering. Playing right to left on your stream today. The Langara Falcons in their all-whites with orange socks and orange and black piping, lettering, and trim as well. They're playing from left to right. Ball over the top looking for Chong. Down that right touchline. She couldn't reel it in. And we're going to have a substitution here. It's going to be number 9 from White Rock, Jessica Parks. And she will come on for, I believe it's Chong on that right-hand side, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. Just trying to make out the number. I think it is Chong who did come off on that far side. Good control there by Hernandez on the chest, under pressure. Ball just laced forward. That would have been a tough ask for Paschalidis or Madison Hung to get on the end of that one. That'll go back the way of the Falcons. Quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Still at halftime between VIU and Capilano. The league leader Mariners still out in front, 3-0. Big uphill climb there for Capilano Blues, who look like they might be doomed to their 5th straight defeat of the campaign. And I can't imagine that gets any easier to have to try and overturn as each game goes by. You hope the confidence wouldn't dip and wane for the likes of the Capilano Blues, who were finalists last year against VIU. But it's been a real tough sled for them in this early portion of 2025. Still lots of games to make up, so they could claw their way back into it and find themselves into a playoff spot, but things aren't looking good. And if Douglas were to somehow go ahead and get a goal and a win here, that makes life even more difficult on Capilano, who would be 6 points behind the curve, and with not a lot of goal difference in tie-breaking scenarios to go their way. Langara have the ball now. Free kick, 74th minute. It's 1-1. Tess Van de Vecht in the first half. Isabel Dobbin. Who else for the Douglas Royals in the second half? Van de Vecht, good bit of free kick service there. Giovinazzo was the closest to it, but even she was a couple paces behind it. Good swerve ball into the back post by Van de Vecht there. Very professional looking ball. Unfortunately, there was not another Falcon able to tap it home at the back post. We're in the 75th minute in about 10 seconds. It remains 1-1 here. Good play there by Hernandez, who shirks one tackle and a second. Marina Paschalidis had made the run inside, but Hernandez went back a ways. Bandel has it now. Cuts inside Bandel on her right foot. Plays the ball to the back post. She was attempting for the back post, but it ended up scooping more centrally and landing right on the penalty dot. Paschalidis and Manat Dillon were the closest. Lucarelli. Space in the left for Lucarelli. Plays it into Claver Valdez. Takes a bit of an awkward hop on Valdez, but Giovinazzo didn't have a ton of options. She kind of just had to lace it up Main Street. The Falcons at the moment, their defensive play, the Falcons, it just hasn't been as tidy as it was in that first half. They're clearing the ball, but they're clearing it right to unfavorable green socks and green legs and what have you. Oh, now Vandevek's been caught out of position. Claver Valdez, look at Parks at the back post. She's queuing up there. She's going to get the ball now. Parks onto it, right-footed. Can she keep it in play? She does. Thankfully, if you're a Langara Falcon defender, that ball just carried a bit towards the corner flag, which gave them a bit of time to set themselves. But Douglas have recycled it nicely. Scott now, ball into the area, half dealt with by Vandevek. Grim's there. It's a sea of legs, and Vandevek gets herself back into position and baits the tackle of Grim, who had to put the two-hander on her. It's a Langara free kick just inside their own 18-yard box. 76th minute, 1-1. But the way things are going, I think Langara are playing with a bit of fire. They're sitting awfully deep, and like I said, the clearances from the defensive end haven't been as tidy as they were early in the first half. They're coughing it right back up in the second wave, usually to green shirts and socks. Dobbin now in the box. She has Giovinazza all over her, but lays it back for Parks. Parks, can she cut it back to the top for Buckle? She does! And Buckle! Oh, she just scraped it a couple inches wide of that right post of Bonazu's net. Langara Falcons, another warning shot for their defenses. Dobbin and Buckle and Lucarelli, they're playing their way through the channels and the lanes far too easy right now. I don't know what Alvin Prasad has available for options as far as defensive or midfield structure, but he might want to effort or entertain the notion, I should say, of making a substitution, because at the moment Douglas are having their way. Substitution the way of the Greens now, as Anna Claver Valdez is off, and they've brought in the other Parks. Anna Parks. Or I beg your pardon, Anna Claver Valdez. Justina Parks is the other Parks to come on. She's number 4. She joins number 9, Jessica Parks, on the park right now. Grim lifts a diagonal over for Jessica Park. That's a great ball from Grim, who just seems to have such a great wide range of passing. Grim's going to get it back here too, isn't she? Vandevek just a bit awkwardly, but dealt with it. Gets it clear for Hung. Buckle. Pashalides. Right back to Haley Rogers. And that'll be a handball, says the lineswoman on the far side. 78th minute we're in, and it's still 1-1. Vandevek in the first half for the Falcons, and Isabel Dobbin in the second half here for the Royals. Bandel heads it forward for Hung, who's right on the back of Haley Rogers. Hung by the corner flag. Tried to put in a cross. Did it take a touch? It did not. Goal kick the way of the Royals. 79th minute now. 1-1. And a substitution here, it appears, as number 13, Cassidy Kwan, will come back into this one after having started the match today. It's going to be Manat Dillon. Who will make way? Coming together in the middle of the park there between Wells and Parks. Pashali is just trying to get to the outside of Miata. She did temporarily, but Miata just put up the big physical block, and now it's a real jockey for position over on that far touchline. Back underway in the second half of the out-of-town scoreboard. VIU still leading Capilano. That's now in the 50th minute, and as I mentioned, barring something spectacular from the Blues, looks like VIU might go more than a couple points clear. Madison Hung played to the top of the box. Pashalides is there. Oh, it's a mad scramble. It's still alive. Pashalides, can she score? Oh, she misses from the 6 yards out. I can't believe that. Oh, she had done ever so well to get on the end of that cross, and it wasn't a clean receival of the ball, but she still pressed the keeper, Gonzalez, And Bandel was there. And Gade had done ever so well. All it needed was the finish into a wide open net, and Alvin Prasad must have his head in his hands, and I can't imagine Marina Pashalides will want to watch the replay of that one. Gilt edge chances for both sides have been spurned here today, and from the most unlikely of sources, Marina Pashalides and Isabel Dobbin, who usually from point-blank range like that don't miss those types of opportunities. Good ball there from Cassidy Kwan. It's just a step ahead of Gade, though. 81st minute, 1-1, and it's been real end-to-end stuff here. While Douglas have had a good spell of the play, it looks like at any time, if Madison Hung gets a good head of steam, or Marina Pashalides, or even Abigail Gade, this counterattack can happen. This Douglas defense will open up for those types of opportunities. It's just a matter of getting the ball in the back of the net when they do get them for the Falcons. And they haven't had a ton in this second half, but that last 5 minutes or so could have been the real determining factor. As I mentioned, a draw isn't the end of the world for Langara here today. In fact, it does them just fine. Especially considering that I don't think anybody is catching the VIU Mariners on their best day, at least in the regular season anyways. Cross from Madison Hung once again, tipped around by Gonzalez. Gade for Sirius, who once again might have been better served to take a touch there and try and recycle it. She saw her name in the marquee and went for the right-footed blast, and it screws out horribly left. But it's been kind of one of the Achilles heels of the Douglas Royals is Estelle Gonzalez. She's put out some juicy rebounds here today. And we know she's quick to fly off her line, sometimes not at the best of times. That might be something that Langara can exploit. Of course, Gonzalez has made a couple gilt edge saves and done the part as well, but it looks like at any time that a fast-paced ball under pressure can force an error out of the young keeper. It might be something that Alvin Prasad ruse that they didn't try and take advantage of more, is just, whipping some really hard low balls into the keeper and really making her force into a save. Because when Langara have gotten close and they've really pressed the keeper, it's just having a quick listen to Alvin Prasad down at pitch level. Cut off my own sentence just to hear what he had to say there, and he was begging for Abigail Gade to just provide a bit of assistance there to Jeanette Hernandez, who was kind of running around trying to win every ball and just needed somebody else to pass it to. We're in the 83rd minute, actually the 84th, I beg your pardon. It's still 1-1 here, and now all of a sudden Langara look like they've come back to life and are going to have a siege on the Douglas net. There's a lot of space for Isabel Dobbin along the back line right now. She's kind of hanging off the last shoulder of Giovinazzo, who knows she's there. She now brings Sirius over to aid. Good play there by Giovinazzo, who I think would have been done for pace by Dobbin, who is just a slight quicker than the number 21 for the Falcons. But Rita Sirius, we know, is a real speed demon and is not afraid to throw in a tackle as well. So good awareness there, and good leadership by Giovinazzo. Just asked for a bit of a hand and set out the numbers, and now Sirius is just preparing Gade to cover Lucarelli just in case they have their hands full with Dobbin. Cleared forward by Van de Vecht. I beg your pardon, that's actually Amber Wells, and it's opened up now for Gade. It's an uncharacteristic heavy touch, though, for Madison Hung. If she had just kept onto that ball, that's probably a free run on net, or at least in the right channel there for Gade. Nonetheless, Douglas keep it alive. It's Parks and Amber Wells. There's a big coming together from Miata and Wells. And it'll be a foul against Douglas, or I beg your pardon, against Langara. Amber Wells just clobbering Miata there, who's now down in a heap. We're in the 85th minute. It's still 1-1. We'll take this opportunity to look at the out-of-town scoreboard. VIU still in a commanding 3-0 lead over Capilano. That is in the 55th minute. And that would put VIU up to 15 points on the campaign, a perfect 5-0. Langara, if this result holds, would move up to 10 points. Douglas on 4, Capilano would remain on 0. The men's match coming up at 2:30. The champions and league-leading Langara Falcons take on last year's finalists, Douglas. And of course, Langara already holding a 1-0 result over Douglas earlier in the campaign. So the men in black or white, whatever strip Mark Rosardo decides to send the troops out in. It'll be a good encounter against the men in green. It always is between Douglas and Langara in these PACWEST doubleheaders. Wells just sprinting the width of the park to get a drink of water. If it wasn't because 3 Douglas players had already done it, I think her team might have given her a bit of a tongue lashing for do that. She kind of just left the area in which they're defending. I guess it actually wasn't a foul against Wells on that far side. Perhaps the referee had just put up the flag just to indicate that they had a player down in case some treatment was required, but I thought maybe Wells might have been adjudged to commit that foul. Free kick, I beg your pardon, goal kick now in the 86th minute taken by Van de Vecht. Can't imagine a ton of added time. You're outside of that last Miata collision. There hasn't been a lot of stoppages in play here at the Langley Event Center. Oh, this looks promising. It's Parks. She's carrying for it on the right foot, tries to spread it all the way across for Dobbin, but it was cut out by Giovinazzo. Giovinazzo now will come across to clear that one, only as far as Gade. Her first touch loops up into the air. She can't control it, Gade. Hernandez, I beg your pardon, comes away with it. So Sirius up the right channel for Bandel, and chasing through balls isn't really Bandel's game, but she keeps the defender honest and at least works the ball up the field there for the Falcons. 87th minute, and it's still 1-1. Sirius goes for a throw into the feet of Gade. Gade takes a touchdown on her right foot. Giovinazzo, first time, will now thump it forward and maybe try and create some of that confusion I was talking about moments ago in the Douglas area, but Estelle Gonzalez sussed that one out with little difficulty and bowls it forward for Van de Vecht. Amber Wells lifts it forward again for Hung. They're struggling to get on the end of some of these aerial diagonals, vertical balls, crosses. It hasn't been a day to write home about as far as aerial tackles for the Falcons today, that's for sure. Lucarelli infield for Scott. This looks tidy from Douglas. Can Buckle unleash a shot? She came ever so close moments ago. That's a great pass. Finds Park. Criminally unmarked. Park, right-footed shot, palmed away by Bonazou. And then Amber Wells does well to win the goal kick. Ooh, the Langara Falcons kind of got caught napping there with Parks just hanging off the back shoulder of Amber Wells. Tidy little ball from Buckle, who looked like she was just going to peel the lever off of it with her own right foot. But she opens up her body, spreads it right, and if it wasn't for the smoking mitts of Kate Bonazou, she's been massive a few times in this one. And you could argue that without her contributions here today, the lady in teal and the pink headband, her classic look in the Langara net, that we could be talking 2-1 or maybe even more for Douglas. Pashalides loses out. Pashalides will probably throw up the hand in the locker room, I would assume. She came ever so close to putting Langara back up ahead in against the run of play, but missed from point-blank range, 6 yards out in an empty net after an Estelle Gonzalez fumble after a corner kicker. I beg your pardon, it was a first-time cross. Both squads will be ruining their missed chances after this one if this finishes 1-1. That is for certain. Helped on by Buckle. Giovinazzo wins the second ball, but she's got to keep Lucarelli to the fringes now. Giovinazzo sees the ball get past her, but Rita Series, who has been so good at deputizing for Giovinazzo seemingly in this game, whenever the ball's gotten past Giovinazzo, it's been Series who has been there providing the cover. Giovinazzo wins it down to Bandel, who gets dispossessed in a sea of Douglas players. We're in the 90th minute now. Baker puts the ball forward for Park. She can't control it. It's thumped clear by Hernandez. I can't imagine more than 2 minutes added on here. Gonzalez, Miata. Parks. Well, when it sprayed central, but everyone in Langara in a Langara kit, I should say, had advanced forward expecting a deflection, and now it's really opened up on the back line for Douglas. Lucarelli, right-footed shot, takes a, I beg your pardon, it was actually a cross-come shot. It came off the backside of, I think it was Giovinazzo. And it took just enough of the mustard out of it so that Bonazou could just get there and Clutch and claim. Haddison Hung is going to press this issue against Haley Rogers all the way back to Estelle Gonzalez, who's left it a bit short. Rogers. Gonzalez equal to the task this time, though. Bandel cuts to her right foot, then to her left. Slips ever so slightly. She needs some help. She needs some orange socks to make themselves available, and Hernandez gets there now. Good ball, Hernandez for Gade, who again is offside, and Alvin Prasad will take off his glasses in disapproval with that one, let's just say, as Gade didn't need to be in an offside position there. If she had just managed to keep herself on, she probably gets in around the backside of this backline on the right-hand portion, and she looked like she had a step on the defender there. It's kind of been the story of Gade's night, though. She's just kind of drifted into offside positions a couple times here, and that'll be certainly something to improve on for the pacey number 10 in orange. 90th minute, still 1-1 between the Falcons and Douglas, but Langara look like they've got some late legs here all of a sudden after not playing rope-a-dope, but probably spending a good portion of the second half defending. Ball over the top for Paschalidis with a header, and it comes off of Miata's head. Oh, Paschalidis did ever so well there. She threw her noggin at it. And if it wasn't for the number 22 right back in Douglas, we might be talking about a late winner for Paschalidis, number 14. Falcons, she's been busy since coming on. She deserves a goal, but unfortunately it just hasn't gone her way today, the number 14. Cross from Wells into the box. Gade's there. Estelle Gonzalez just leaps over top of Gade and puts the big mitts on it. Hernandez wins the header out to the touchline. Probably not a lot of time left in this one. Score on the out-of-town scoreboard. VIU now up 4-0 over Capilano. That one in the 62nd minute. So VIU will add to their points and their goal tally. Buckle. Can't get past Wells. Good play there by Amber Wells under pressure. And now forward for Bandel. It runs through. Paschalidis is onside. Marina Paschalidis. 1-on-1 with the keeper. Still going. Paschalidis. Can she shoot? Paschalidis just can't get the shot away. It's been the story of her night. She's found herself in such good positions, but the shot has either been muffled or deflected or blocked, or in some cases just not on target. Marina Paschalidis has done ever so well today, and I know I've said it a few times, but all she's missing is the finish, the young lady. Bandel. That ball clipped over top. This needs to be dealt with tidily as Giovinazzo's got Dobbin all over her, and I thought she might try and go back to the keeper first time, but she plays it out to her left. Falcons still have a bit to defend here. Dobbin into the path of Buckle. That looked like that hit a hand, if I'm being honest. Giovinazzo gets the ball, and she won't take any chances. She blasts it out into touch, and that will be the full-time whistle in an end-to-end game that had a plethora of gilt-edged chances. Somehow, this one finishes 1-1 between the second spot Langara and third spot Douglas. Goals from Tess Van de Vecht in the second minute on a free kick, and the equalizer coming from Isabel Dobbin in the Douglas kit. VIU currently leading Capilano 4-0 on the out-of-town scoreboard, so barring anything absolutely wild, Matchday 5 will finish with VIU atop the table on 15 points. Langara move up to 10 points in second spot. Douglas up to 4 points in third spot. And Capilano most likely will finish the day again rock bottom on 0 points. We'll take a very quick about 40-minute break or so, and we'll come back with the men's encounter. The champion and league leading, PACWEST league leading, Langara Falcons men, they welcome Douglas. One earlier match between the two this year, it was Langara taking care of business 1-0 right here at Willoughby Field. As mentioned, we'll come back with that one in just over 40 minutes time. We are live, PACWEST doubleheader action, match day 5 from Langley, British Columbia, Canada.